Hey everybody, I'm back and I want to throw my hat into the ring for Maligned Portents and just what's on the horizon. First, I want to just say I really appreciate what Maligned Portents is doing and what Games Workshop especially is doing with this, because I think I really like the fact that they're going to be moving the narrative forward, but also just providing, more space for us to interact with the world in Age of Sigmar. So that being said, I think that it's good that this is moving everything forward in the story. Especially because I felt like the story before, there wasn't really that tangible of a world to really interact with. As far as we're concerned, it's just all these Stormcast Eternals just showing up and doing battle with other things, and that there was some kind of different planes that you could interact with. But now I feel like there's more of a world encompassing, especially with those videos that they've released off their website. I think that's really awesome. That being said, I am a little disappointed because I know that while Lizardmen are great, while Seraphon are awesome, I just don't know how they're going to fit into these stories. Basically, the fact that they're just being remembered all the time, a Slan could just show up and remember them just so we get 5 out of the 6 armies. There you go, you got another army. There's a 6th one, it's Lizardmen, they show up again. But I feel like it's odd because there's no motivation for them in the story. So I feel like that's really sad because everybody kind of has a little bit of motivation. They have a home that they're trying to defend, or some ultimate power that they're trying to wield. And I don't feel like that will really work. Like the Slan already know how powerful they are. Unless somebody's trying to capture one, they don't really have a narrative piece in the story other than just fight demons. And well, that's all good and well, but they just don't have anything to really stack on. So I really hope Games Workshop does something to develop that, but I'm just not sure I see anything for them. That being said, I'm probably going to start a new army here soon, but I'll still try to keep up with the Seraphon army. I really appreciate them. I think they got a lot of boost in this new book, so can't leave them by the wayside, but I'd like to have another army I can play in the narrative and really feel like I'm building the narrative, because so far as I've seen, there's just no way the Seraphon can help build that narrative. There's no campaign other than against chaos, or maybe against death because it's threatening the way of order, but I don't know. I just don't see it as something that is going to work narratively. There's no home for them to fight for, essentially. On top of that, for my predictions and what the meat of this video is, just the kind of predictions, what I think is going to happen, basically the forces that I think we're going to see in this. And I've been watching a lot, Warhammer Weekly. They had a great portion of their latest broadcast that just talked about, what they thought was going to be in there. Doom and Darkness, he put up a video, and I've been watching through his and listening to his, and I think he makes some good points as well. But personally, what I think we're going to see is that I think at first you're going to see a kind of rush for death. With that new Legions of Nagash book, because I think that while I think Doom and Darkness is right, where there's a piece of it that death is going to be a saving grace, essentially, to the world as we know it, I don't think that Nagash is going to be that. I think he knows about what is going to happen, and he knows how it can be saved, because I think he's wily like that, if I could use that word, but I don't think he is going to at all support, trying to help out the realms, other than get himself more power. Although I feel like characteristically he has kind of come a long way. He, very bad to, a god that actually worked with Sigmar for a while. That's a little bit of character development, I guess. But so I think what we're going to see first is, obviously, Nurgle is going to be hot on the case. We just got their book that came out. They're going to be, raging a campaign through death. Then I think death is going to you probably get a little bit of some battling with Stormcasts. You'll probably release a little bit of that. Maybe some stuff for the people that are living there, or the humans, and free guild. Maybe a couple, like, I could see them releasing a couple regiments, but then you're going to get that Legions of Nagash book, and I think that's going to be the first kind of like to set the tone for this campaign. When that comes out, Death is going to get a real power kick so that they can kind of stay on their own, essentially to fight battles against it, and that's where you're going to see where, like, you'll get Stormcast and Order will get involved with the battle, but then not even them and Nurgle can, like, beat Nagash, because his new thing, he's going to get his new hero, who's going to be a huge boon in the battle, and that he'll, while probably not the best model in the world, will give some kind of boost to the army, which will make them, really tangibly difficult to remove. So they'll be the next thing. After that, I think that we're going to see Sigmar release something in there where he's going to have, Stormcast Eternal are going to get something that will allow them to not be able to be captured by Nagash. And what I mean by that is, I think in that Legions of Nagash book, and once we start the actual campaign for, Shyish and all of what is going on currently with the Maligned Portents, I think that they're going to get something that will, kind of a Deathcast Eternals, something that's going to be their kicker in there that just pushes them over the edge. And so, while I think he'll have broken the code, inevitably towards the end, I think Stormcast is going to get something to kind of kick back and be able to stop him from doing that. Like real heroes that rise up from the actual humans, or something like that, where they get champions of, Sigmar. Something like Champions of Sigmar is what maybe it's called. I don't know. It'll be a book, but that'll be the force that really helps Sigmar's side not lose. Because just like we know from all Space Marine chapters, since they're the pony boys of 40k, they can't lose. They'll always kick up another one. They might get beaten down, especially with like Magnus coming back into the game. But then, of course, the man in blue himself shows up, and so I think you're going to see something similar to that. Maybe even a Sigmar model, which I wouldn't be opposed to, or not necessarily Sigmar coming to fight, but more like a Sigmar incarnate model, somebody who will represent him on the battlefield, kind of like we've got Nagash already. Then what I think, so first you're going to get the Death. I think you'll get probably your other little factions in there, in between sprinkled. I think you're going to see with the Goblins coming, I think you'll get a more updated version of the Moon Clan with the Spiderfang Grots, with your Wolf Riders. I think they're going to kind of get all of that and update all of it. I think that'll probably be second after, Nagash puts his teeth to the... just puts in, these new guys with his Legions of Nagash book. You'll probably get a new one for Goblins. And it'll probably be something special you haven't seen. Like, you'll probably get Moon Clan updated in the book, but then you'll get like Goblin Tribes or something weird like that, because I think what they're going to start doing now is less specific books and more like battle tomes that have multiple groups in them where you can play, kind of like Legions of Nagash work. But I think that's what they want to start going towards, because then they can throw in armies in there easier that won't warrant an entire book, but also get some kind of facelift. So you got a bunch of minor ones, but then they can work under a giant umbrella, as it were. So I think you'll see that in there, where you'll probably get some orcs, just regular orcs, not savage, not iron jaws. You'll probably get some orc tribes, some goblin tribes. They'll probably be just like tribes of destruction or something like that. Greenskin tribes, maybe, I don't know, because that'll be led by their guy who comes on the scene. Then I think you'll also see, you'll probably see like a regular Stormcast that drops. It'll probably be similar to the humans thing that we got, where there's cities, where there's some humans and some Stormcast Eternals, and it'll be led by their hero. And then I think you'll probably get something with Marauders, which is going to be interesting. Slaves to Darkness probably can stay as it, but it'll get its own book. But it'll have more with the Marauders, like maybe some Marauder tribes in there that you could do, like the Dark Oath Queen and her group as she comes on the scene. So I think you'll get all of those. You'll get all of them amassed. And now we've got all the armies, so we can start the campaign. But I think towards the end of campaign, and this is what I'm forecasting in the summertime, you'll get 2 new armies. Actually, 3 new army books. This is what I think they're going to be. First, I think the voice in the video is that of Slaanesh coming back into the game. And while I think that is going to be powerful, it's going to tip the balance, and they'll get a book and everything. That's going to kind of start driving all the armies back, because they're going to fight with each other. They're going to lose numbers, so that when Slaanesh comes on, and she'll be sneaky, or she'll come on and she'll just really love the fact that everybody's fighting. So then she'll start picking off people and leaders for her own devious plot. But I think additionally, you're going to get the darkness as well as the light in elves, because elves are coming out in the next year. And what I think that's going to look like is we're going to get real whispers, because there's 2 elf gods there, and then there's his mother is being trapped by demons in there, and I think his mother is going to be new Slaanesh in the new codex, and so I think that's going to be huge. But those codexes are not coming out obviously for a while, so Slaanesh will show up. And sorry, I'm a little scatterbrained because I'm driving, but as usual. But additionally, you're not just going to get Slaanesh, but you're also going to get a new Death Army. And what I think the new Death Army isn't going to be Deathcast. I don't think it's going to be Legion of Nagash, which will be 2 new factions. But I think you're going to get another group that is in the Death, maybe some kind of vampire. I don't know what I'm thinking for this, but it's somebody who is a Mortarch, but not loyal to Nagash. And they're going to be for something. And I really like what they said about, a new demon codex, that it's going to be demons of fear. But I don't think that's what it is. I think death, something about death going to be fear, in that. And maybe it's like the underkeeper of those at the gate of death. Like Nagash is raising up death, and that's great and all, but there's somebody that's supposed to keep the dead at rest. And maybe it's like a new Moor character, because Moor in the old world was like the good version of the god of death, essentially, and just kind of kept them at rest. I think we're going to see somebody that does not like Nagash, that is going to take up that mantle of keeping the peace in death. And in that, he will be granted some armies that will serve him, but like to serve him. And he'll be something. I like to think that there's either like an undertaker, a keeper of the death, but also like those of the forgotten, those that are just kind of plagued, like they have no real home. And I think that's where you're going to get this boat thing, because I think there's people who, maybe the damned. That's a good guess in this. They're going to be the damned that have not been damned to be stuck serving Nagash, but they have no place, and they're kind of in this in between where they could have worked for Nagash, but they never liked him, and they didn't like what he was doing, but they still died, and he does not have power over their souls because of something their Mortarch is able to do, like that Nagash is not necessarily, like give them peace and rest. And so they must serve out their sentence in his army, and then they will be granted some kind of eternal rest where they can just go away. And I think that's going to be the saving grace. I don't think Nagash is. I think he's building that tomb so that he can hold those that he cannot capture or he cannot hold. And I also think he might be building that tomb because he knows Slaanesh is coming back into the scene. and to capture her, because as it stands with the three demons, the three gods of chaos there, he may not be able to capture them, but maybe Slaanesh is in a place where she is in capturing, and by capturing her, he can harness her power or something, and which makes him even more powerful, so he can obtain what he cannot obtain, because that's always been his character. He always wants to obtain something that he can't get, and so I think that's where his weakness is. That's what his weakness in Age of Sigmar is going to be. I don't think they're going to take that away. I think they'll like that in there, and Games Workshop will work that. But that's what I think the angle will be. So I'm pretty stoked about it, because I would totally play, just like Vince said, a non-aligned death. They don't have to be chaotic evil or whatever D&D term it is, but they don't have to be evil, but they are death still. And that's something to be feared in and of itself. But yeah, so that's what my predictions is. Just throwing my hat in the ring. I hope that's what it is coming up. There should be some new armies, and I think that's going to be really great. I should also, for the channel, be getting new stuff up, so keep a heads up, because I'm going to try to get a couple new videos up. Thanks, guys.